Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Live to Roll show. I am your host for the day, Brianna Wheeler, here with another women's disability show. Today's topic is going to be about being newly injured with a baby. Two of our guests were pregnant when they got injured, and another one had a small baby and children at home. I'm going to let these lovely guests introduce themselves, starting with Lizzie.
Well, I'm Lizzie. I am a T5, T6 level injury. And April was my second year, this April. And a short quote, this was hard. I love quotes, so I was like, oh, it has to be short. But I would have to say, when there's a will, there's a way.
I love it. Perfect. Short and sweet. How about you, Ruby? You want to introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Ruby Varela, and I'm a T12 complete. And I was injured in 2007. I was 5 months pregnant when I had my injury, and here now, blessed with three little kids.
Thank you so much. And do you have a short quote?
Yes, I do. If you can't change your future, change your attitude. That helps.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I love it. And last but not least, Chelsea, you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Chelsea Rush. I'm 29. I was actually injured in 2016 while I was 3 months pregnant with my son Wyatt, and I'm technically a C5 quadriplegic. I'm incomplete, and I look back and I see the girl that I used to be before I was paralyzed, and now I see the woman. And I'm proud to be that person, and like for myself. So yeah.
Thank you, love. Thank you so much. Woo! I'm so excited to talk about this topic. I think it's much needed. And I talk to newly injured girls all the time who are going through this and who don't really have anywhere to reference or anybody to really talk to, and which I'm sure you guys went through as well. So I'm so happy to be here talking about this. So getting started on our first question, tell us about the moment you found out you're pregnant. I'm going to go with Ruby first.
Okay, the first time I found out I was pregnant, I was very excited, and I was very hopeful. I didn't know my life was going to change in, being 5 months pregnant. It was a total 180 switch, but I'm very blessed. My baby was okay. I did have to learn a new lifestyle and be a mom, but it was good. I think, family and God helped a lot.
Yeah, of course. And your first pregnancy was when you were injured, correct?
Right. I was newly injured. Yeah.
So how did you feel finding out that you were going to be paralyzed and then also finding out that you're going to have a baby?
I was really sick. I think depression, like, you're learning a new lifestyle. Depression definitely hit hard. Postpartum depression, anxiety, but just, family, God, but I definitely did struggle hard. Good lifestyle as well as being trying to make sure your baby's good, so you're really not even paying attention to yourself. So it was pretty hectic, but I managed, years later.
Yeah, definitely. And how about you, Chelsea? You want to tell me about the moment that you found out that you were pregnant and how you felt those first moments being newly injured and finding out that you're now going to be a mom as well?
Yeah, so when I was injured, or I got injured 3 months after I found out. So when I found out, I was actually a hairstylist and a makeup artist, and I was booking all these like big events, and I was a pretty new relationship. So my first reaction was like, oh my gosh, is this something I can do? And but I was also very excited as well because I've always wanted to be a mom, and um, it was just an amazing feeling to find out. And once I told my partner at the time, he was also very excited. So I felt a lot more confident that I was going to be able to handle it. But then, I got injured on an ATV. I just found out I was pregnant, and I had a doctor's appointment this week to find out how far along I was. So I didn't even know how far along I was when I got injured. So it was a complete shock that I was nearly 3 months pregnant. Um, but when my injury happened, I also had to be intubated and I had a lot of medical problems. So it took a little bit of time, but I just was like fighting for my life. And I got transferred to Craig Hospital, and they have such an amazing group of people there that I had just all the confidence in the world that I was going to be okay. So, yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. So I think that support really plays a big role in this. Would you guys say that that you guys agree with that?
Huge.
Yeah, I think so too. So Lizzie, for you, when you were in the hospital, did you get to hold your baby when you were in the hospital, or did you have to wait until you went home?
No, I was at Craig too, and my family was about an hour and a half away from the hospital. So when they could, or when I had the time, they would drive up and come see me. So my youngest at the time, she was like 8 months old when I got transferred to Craig. And I had seen her. That would have been, I hadn't seen them in like 2 weeks. So seeing them, it was like really overwhelming. It was like a bunch of emotions because that's a lot of time apart.
Yeah, I'm
And,
sure.
you know,
And you were strong enough as you were before, which I'm sure was hard as well. And did a lot of doubts come through your mind? And if so, how do you feel like what got you over those doubts?
the support I had at Craig, they just make you feel like you can conquer the world. It doesn't matter what it is. Like, if you want to do it, you can do it. And that's what really helped me, was the
That's
support that
super
they
cool.
gave.
And Ruby, what hospital were you at?
Was at UAMS in Little Rock, Arkansas. And well, actually, I
Okay.
have at Baptist, and then transferred to UAM.
Okay. And do you feel like they were very supportive of your pregnancy and being a mom in a chair?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Do you feel like they were really supportive with you being a mom in a chair? The hospital that you were at and your physical therapist, did they support your
Oh
decision
yeah,
in being a mom?
definitely. So, yeah, they did great job. They actually did support me. They knew that the injury was new, so I was having all types of pain. I didn't know if it was my back, contractions. It's a mixture of many emotions and feelings, but they were very helpful, and they honestly, that's why I believe my follow kids as well, because they
Yeah, definitely. And Chelsea, thinking back to your pregnancy and just your delivery, what would you say was the hardest month of being pregnant for you?
I think the hardest month for me, uh, the hardest month for me was probably the very last month because of the size of my stomach and, just all the complications that come along when you start having Braxton Hicks and all that kind of stuff. And since I'm, higher level injury, I definitely experienced autonomic dysreflexia quite frequently. And that, like, there are a few times where I almost had to actually be induced, and eventually I was induced, but initially they wanted me to carry all the way, to full term, and so I did, and but the last month was definitely very difficult because of like the autonomic dysreflexia, the Braxton Hicks, just
Mhm.
the other stuff like your bowel program, having to go to the bathroom all the time because the baby's pushing on your bladder, and those types of things are, really important to consider when you're, thinking about having a baby when you're in a chair, because it's like, if you're cathing, you have to do it more frequently, and that kind of stuff too. So that's, kind of my advice on that one.
Yeah, definitely. And for your AD, what did you feel like really helped you alleviate it? Did anything help you?
I did a lot of guided meditation. I actually did.
Hold on, I'm hearing a little bit of static. Are you guys hearing some static in the background? I just want to make sure the chat isn't hearing it. Chat, how are you guys hearing our audio? Is it all good? I'm not sure if you guys are hearing a little buzzing noise. I just want to make sure that they aren't.
I hear a lot of static too.
A lot of static as well.
Yeah.
Okay, well, if you guys aren't talking, if we could just mute if you guys can mute your mic so it's no background noise, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Of course, of course. And okay, going back to Chelsea, thank you so much. So what did you really feel like helped with that?
I did a lot of guided meditation, and then I also I did some acupuncture, and then just there's really nothing you can do. You're not in control of what he's doing, but I think that those are some of the things that I did, and then the doctors and nurses were just really attentive because I was at Craig, and so um, we would definitely have to like lay me or either sit me up, or like if I was laying down and I was ADing, I'd have to sit up vertical because that lowers your blood pressure and everything. So you just have to kind of go with the flow and not panic, because I think stress and anxiety really is a big factor with that kind of stuff, because like, your baby's there too, they're feeling.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. That makes a lot of sense. And thinking back to your delivery, was there anything that really surprised you, or that you would want to make aware or help other girls out that when they're going into the delivery, or did it really run smoothly for you?
It was going so great. I was actually induced, so I was like, oh, this is going to be pretty easy compared to everything else I've been going through with recovering from a spinal cord injury. But I actually had to have an emergency C-section because it I was just it was not he was not coming out, and it was just I was starting to have autonomic dysreflexia, and so I started to panic, and they were like, okay, we need to rush you to OR because his heart rate just dropped. And so, but that was like once the panic was over and I was in the OR and they were, giving me the C-section, he was out in 30 seconds. And there was a lot of pain, I will admit. For me, I'm incomplete, and they didn't really understand, even though I was at one of the best hospitals in the country. Like, there's still
Mm,
a lot of what ifs. And
mhm.
so I did experience a lot of pain, but he's delivered safely. And I think it's important to just have a birth plan with your doctors and your nurses, and to make sure that everything's as planned as you can. I mean, but there's always going to be stuff that happens, and again, to just not panic.
Yeah, that's good advice. How about you, Ruby? How was your pregnancy and delivery like? Ruby, can you hear
They
us?
were
Oh,
all
there you
different.
go.
I could
Uh-huh.
say the first one, I was surprised I was able to do a natural delivery as well as my other two, but I think the first one took the longest, obviously, because it was something different, like push-in wise and all that. I didn't get the epidural or anything. And yeah, you definitely feel the pain. So be aware, even though you're paralyzed, you're going to feel stuff come out.
So for all your pregnancies, you felt like every month, like you had a different, like hard month, and there was like different surprises and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. Every month is different. Like she said, UTIs are very, common with the spinal cord and being pregnant. That times the 10. So that's also something you have to find a really good doctor to address that. But I think that definitely all my pregnancies were different. There's never one pregnancy that's the same. The last one was definitely the most difficult. I had hyperemesis, so I threw up a lot throughout the whole pregnancy. I never had that with the first two. So to me, the third one was the roughest pregnancy with all the throwing up. But other than that, then they were all pretty much.
Okay, and what caused that? Was there anything specific that caused that in that pregnancy, or was it just totally random?
I I feel so bad for any woman that has to go through that because it really scares you out of wanting more kids because it's horrible. It's like a hangover that never ends.
Mm. Oh no, yeah, that sounds super scary. Okay, let's go to the next question. Thank you so much, love. Okay, Lizzie, how about you for when you got home and you're in your chair now? How did your children react to the chair?
So I have 3 kids. I have a 9-year-old son, a 4-year-old daughter, and a 2-year-old daughter now. The girls, they adapted to the chair. It didn't bother them. They really don't pay no mind to it more. So they wanna sit in the chair. They don't want mom to sit in the chair. They want to take the chair for the ride. As for my son, it wasn't until like recently when me and him and his dad sat and like talked about the accident and how it changed everything. He was just um he was more hesitant. He was just like, what is this, you know? I didn't but now he's just like, well, can I ride it? Can I take it for a ride?
Yeah, I realize that with kids, it's about like kind of your confidence as well, and like how you go about like your injury and showing them what you can do still, and that you're the same mom as before. How long do you feel like it took you to really gain that confidence of being the same mom as you were before back?
Um, it took a while. Um, my kids intimidated me quite a bit in the beginning, especially the younger ones, because it's like the my youngest was learning how to crawl, and it's like, I don't want to roll over her fingers or anything, or have her hurt herself. So it's like she was very intimidating to me at the time, but um, it's like learning to dance. You learn how to like dance around each other and maneuver each other around each other. Um, but I would say like after a year, would say my confidence really grew because now they're just like they do everything I do. They pop wheelies, they back up, they park it. It's nice to see.
Yeah, that's super cool. I love watching kids adapt as well with parents because I meet so many parents that are just so scared, of course, have so many questions, which I'm sure you guys understand, and just feel kind of lost in this and feel like they can't meet the expectations of what they should be meeting as a mom, you know. But as you guys know as well, that's not reality, and you can definitely still be a mom, and your kids definitely love you the same way in a chair or not in a chair, and they do adapt. So like I think that is super interesting, and I love that you had that experience with your kids. So Chelsea, going over to your biggest struggles, what do you feel like your biggest struggle was once you got home?
It was honestly just the little things like holding him, and I wasn't able to nurse just because my body just was so like depleted from the pregnancy and from recovering from the spinal cord injury that they were just like, yeah, you know, formula, and that's a whole nother thing, is like mixing the formula, getting that right, doing all that stuff. And then also just like, obviously, like I said, holding him when he was a baby, he was so hyperactive for an infant. And I felt like, I've held so many babies. I have 6 little siblings, so I'm the oldest. And so I was like, around babies a lot growing up and everything. And then when I had my own, it was like, oh my gosh, I can't even hold him because at the time I couldn't even move my arms. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would do is I had different slings that I would like strap him to my body and like just so he was with me all the time. And that was probably one of the harder things. And then obviously diaper changing, I had to have assistance with that. And that was one of the hardest parts for me too, was not being able to do it myself, some of the
Mm-hmm.
things. And my mom was really there 100% to help me because I'm a single mom. So I needed her um, to help me with
Okay.
all the
So
stuff.
so that's really good that you had family around to help you during these times. I know in the beginning that you mentioned that you told the baby's dad and that he was very supportive. So did he end up not being as supportive once the baby arrived?
He actually left me when I was 6 months pregnant in the hospital. He just decided that he didn't want to do it, and he like claimed that he wasn't the dad and that I was like unfaithful. It was just a whole drama thing, and it was
Mm-hmm.
so dumb to be honest because I was, not unfaithful, and obviously I was fighting for my life, and he just decided to leave. And you know what? It's better that he did when he did because it made me stronger now. And I've my son's happy, he's doing well, and I'm doing well, and we have a I have a pretty good co-parenting relationship with him for the most part. But there's obviously still things that we struggle with, and co-parenting is so hard, especially with someone who doesn't support you, especially with a disability. It's very ableist against me. So I definitely have that struggle, which is unfortunate, but I'm just doing what I can. And
Yeah, of course, it's made you stronger. Some people are not built out for this lifestyle and they're not built to get the blessings that are going to come along with our injury as well. And it sucks when you're going through it and when it's happening to you to remember those things, but it's so very important to keep on telling yourself. And I'm sure you're in a completely different headspace now of what it is for your guys' relationship breaking up, and then in the beginning compared to now.
Oh, absolutely. No, I'm so much better off than I was at the time. I mean, I couldn't even have a conversation without just, breaking down and crying about it.
Mhm.
And, crying is a very healthy thing to do, but at some point you have to just like, um, man up and be like, hey, I can do this. I'm stronger. People have done this for a long time. My mom's a single mom, so I
Mhm.
definitely had a rock there. She definitely helped me through all that. And then obviously I did some therapy stuff, which really helped. I definitely suggest, like, if you're, feeling these feelings, to just, find the help that you need because, you're there for your children and you have to, you have to be there even in the hard times.
Yes, that's great advice. That's great advice. Parenting is already hard. So adding the
Yeah.
injury to the mix, these are two separate things already extremely hard on their own. So putting together is very hard as well. Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Chelsea. So going over to Ruby, what did you feel like your biggest struggles were once you got home?
The biggest struggle was that I couldn't. I had to learn how to like live my life, but also be a new mom, and it's hard. I never had a kid, so that was my first kid, and being newly injured was definitely a hard obstacle. But my mom was definitely there, my sister, my husband, and with them, with a lot of support because scared to hold him. I didn't want to drop him. It took time to learn, how to hold him with the boppy or the kangaroo, make sure they don't fall. But it was scary because it's learning. They're so fragile. You just don't want to hurt them.
Mhm, mhm. And how long do you feel like really took you to get over that fear?
It was fast. It was fast. I want to say probably when he was like about 6 months. I was like, okay, I have to get it together for him. Obviously, he needs me. And I also ended up moving to Mexico for a while, so I definitely had a lot of more hands on. So that definitely pushed me to be like more hands on with him, as to when I was, here at home where my mom would help me a lot.
Okay, okay. That makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of sense. And how about you, Lizzie? Did you feel like there was something that really made you have a breaking point, or do you remember a time that you just were overly emotional or something that just like really hit your heart hard?
Yeah, I refer to that time as the fork in the road because I remember telling my friend how I was feeling, and she's like, "Well, dude, you're gonna keep feeling the way that you're feeling, or you're gonna get tired of it and you're gonna do something about it. It's one or the other." And at that point, it's like, okay, I'm gonna do something about it, and uh, I started working out more, getting my strength back, working on confidence, turning off that, inner ableism that we have. And instead of telling myself, like, I can't do this, I can't do this, it's like, no, dude, you can do this. You just got to do it a different way now. So, yeah.
Yes, that's so important. And that's battles that we battle with newly injured people as well. Just in general, having to change your mindset. We're not often taught how to deal with these things. So it's like all this trauma hits us at once and we don't really know what to do next. It's overwhelming. And of course, all these negative things go through our head. But I think it's so amazing of your guys' will to just be a great mom still, and how much that pushed you guys in your guys' injury as well. And some people it just takes them longer to kind of grasp that idea of life, and that things are going to be okay. We just might have to do things a little bit more differently now. And it's so cool to see how your kids have really pushed all three of you guys to adapt faster and become just better and more humbler because of this injury. I think that that's super cool. So asking Ruby, with your kids growing up and you being inside of your chair, do you have a point where you really have a discussion with them about like your chair and your accident and really the details, or is it just mom's in a chair and this is life?
I think they end up growing up and they adapt to you, so they don't see me like, oh, she's in a wheelchair and then it's like that. Them like be who they are. Like they'll talk to that kid in school that no one talks to, or the kid that's in the wheelchair, or the kid, I'm proud of that because inclusion is very important, because a lot of people are left aside because they don't see us as people. They see us as like, oh, they're the chair or whatnot.
Yes, I love that. I think that I agree so much. I was so worried even for my little brother to be like embarrassed of me. I went to like one of his little school assembly things. And when it came time for him to come up to us afterwards, he was just so excited. He was so happy to see me. He wanted to sit on my lap. He wanted to show everybody my wheelchair. Like he was cool because nobody else has a sister in a wheelchair, And so I'm sure you guys as kids feel the same way. And, we often like feel like, oh, they're going to feel embarrassment. They're going to feel all these negative emotions, and like kids are very adaptive. And like when you teach them right from wrong, you'd be surprised at what they catch on to, and because my brother has been so many years with me inside of my chair already, he's 7 and I've been 5 years in a chair. And so when we go to events and stuff, he plays with kids in wheelchairs and with no arms and with different disabilities, just like any other kid, and that's what we need more of, So I feel like it is scary going through this, but at the end of the day, there's a purpose, and you guys are creating people that are going to be better people in this universe that we desperately need, So I think that that's super amazing as well. Okay, let's see what's going on in the chat. It's active over here. Thank you guys all for joining and commenting. Thank you, Naomi. Naomi says she loves this, love the positivity on this channel and all the information everyone brings. We appreciate that. Jessie says that she loves the channel as well. Oh, this is when they were kind of talking about the static. Sorry, we're a little late on that. We fixed it though. Thank you guys for sticking with us. Nicole, I can't even imagine being pregnant in the chair dealing with all this injury comes with. Y'all doing the thing. For reals, for reals. We definitely deal with so much already. And we talk about it all the time, different topics on this channel. So it's so interesting. And I don't think people realize that people are still going through this, but with kids and being moms. And not only that, but doubting if they can still be a mom, you know, because of course that question comes into your mind. You know, like, is it even possible? Like, is there other moms in wheelchairs? Like, is that a thing? Like, am I the first one, you know? And so, like, I get a lot of those questions as well from the new moms that are just like very interested to see if anybody else is even going through this, you know? Ben, super chat, $5. Thank you, Ben. We really appreciate that super chat. Thank you so much. That's super amazing. We really appreciate it. Nicole says, hi, Liz. I'm curious, do the kids that can talk ever ask about the chair? So we did kind of talk about that a bit. How about you, Lizzie? Now that your kid is a little bit more older, do they, I mean, yeah, did they ask more questions when you were first injured, or like now that he's getting older?
Well, right now with my 4-year-old, you know, she's asked, you know, like, well, why do you need the chair? And it's like, well, I can't make my legs work. I can't walk, so I sit. Well, why can't you make your legs walk? I just can't. She's like, okay. And with my son's he was 7 at the time of the accident, so he understood a little bit more. Like, okay, Lizzie got in an accident, and now she can't walk. But further than that, like, he doesn't ask, but he's okay with everything.
They're it's pretty simple for them when you kind of explain it that way. I've like dealt with kids like at parties and stuff like that where they ask, and I'm just like, yeah, I got hurt. I hurt my back. My legs don't work anymore, but I have this cool wheelchair that helps me get around, you know? And I was like, want to see? I was like, I'll tell them like, you walk over there and I'll roll over there. And then they just like get so excited. I'm like, you see? So we can go together. And then they're just like, oh, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
How funny. Okay, let's see what else is going on. Nicole says that she's so sorry to hear about that, Chelsea. That's relating to your relationship, I believe. Amber, yes, Brianna, great discussion. Thank you so much. I appreciate you guys watching. If you guys have any questions, feel free to ask it in the chat so we can make sure that we ask them while we're still going with the questions. Peter, I was a single dad, but back then I was still able-bodied. I'm just going to say it. You ladies are all true warriors. You rose above, adapted, and overcame. Oh, that's amazing, Peter. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Naomi, thank you for advocating and sharing your experiences. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Nicole, good question. Curious, did anyone in their life doubt them as parents because of their disability? Ooh, that's a good one. Chelsea, did anybody in your life doubt you because of your disability, or like flat out tell you anything that like really struck you and hit your heart, or that you still remember?
Yeah, actually, you know, my son's dad, he tried to come back about 7 months into Wyatt's life that's when he first met Wyatt, and tried to take Wyatt from me because he said I couldn't be a mom because of my wheelchair. And the judge actually said, she was like, yeah, we're not going to have that conversation. You need to stop and realize that she's still your son's mother, and he still needs her, and I will not have that in my courtroom. And it was kind of one of those moments where it hurt really bad, But I was like, yeah, I can do this. And, I'm going to show you guys that I can do it. So I have. And, I have full custody of my son. He has visitation with his dad every week. And like I said, we have a pretty good co parenting relationship now, but it's actually made me realize like how badly people really need to know about inclusion. And so I'm writing a children's book right now. So I
Oh,
think
I
it's going to,
love that.
yeah, I think
That
it'll be
is
really
so
good.
empowering. That's super cool. That's super cool. That's like much needed, and like that's amazing that this happened to you, but that you're overcoming, and you're not letting your trauma tear you down, And I think that instead of turning your trauma into pain, you turn your trauma into power, and we keep on going and we keep on pushing, and that's what makes us different, So I hope you guys all remember that as well. I think that that's super cool that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think that,
Um,
oh,
mhm.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Oh, it's okay. I think that it's really important to just remember who you are and that, don't let other people tell you you can't do something when you know in your heart that you can.
Yes, preach, preach. How about you, Ruby? Did anybody doubt you in your life or feel like you couldn't be a mom or make any comments to you about being a mom in a wheelchair?
Yeah.
I think you're
I
breaking up
don't.
a little bit. Oh, there you go. Can you hear us, Ruby? Oh no, you're frozen. You're breaking up a little bit, love. We'll give you a moment. We'll come back to you right now.
Okay.
How about you, Lizzie? Did anybody doubt you in your life or make any comments to you, any of your family members or any maybe your kids' fathers, family members, anybody like that in your life?
Um, no, yeah, there was instances where it was just like they're just like you're gonna need help. You're gonna need a lot of help, and um, to me, my point of view of feeling like inflicting a lot of self doubt, like trying to make me feel like I couldn't do it because I was in a wheelchair.
Mhm.
Um, I would say just always telling me, oh, you're gonna need help, or like um, just saying you need help. Really,
Mhm.
that's just like the biggest thing,
Yeah,
making me
yeah,
feel like I
definitely.
can't do it. Yeah.
And I think that stems from like them also not really knowing if you can do it, because they've never seen it as well. But I don't think they realize how damaging that can be when you're trying to motivate yourself and not really kick yourself down and you're questioning if you can do it yourself, and you need people to motivate you and uplift you and tell you that you can do it or figure out like come up with a game plan of how you can. So anybody watching that's a family member going through this, just be aware of that, of how you talk to the person going through this and maybe ask them how they're feeling, because sometimes we're not very good at communicating. And I think that this injury really teaches us and is a very important part of this injury, dealing with your family members, and just making sure everybody's on the same page is communicating. Okay. Okay, let's go on to the next question. What 3 tools or tips would you share to a new wheel mom? Let's go to you first, Chelsea.
Okay. I think one of my tips that I think that you could take away is like just having, the support from your family, like you said, friends, just anyone that can, be there when you can't. And then I definitely used a lot of like slings and devices and stuff to help me kind of hold Wyatt because I'm obviously a high level quadriplegic. I've regained a lot more since then, but I wanted to do everything on my own. And of course, when I was at Craig, they recommended, you know, use different things like different bodies, different little slings to put around you to hold your baby. Because, you know, you're the mom and you have to figure out a way to do it yourself eventually. I mean, you could have someone else do it, but better.
Yeah, but so Craig really helped you with products and really referring you to the right type of products instead of you really having to search like the internet for yourself.
Actually, I mean, a lot of it I did have to sort of find myself, and like I reached out to other people in our community. I was still pretty new to it at that time, like what I was doing, and I think, you know, YouTube and the internet is like really helpful for stuff.
Mhm.
And then I don't know, another parenting tip is just, you know, communicating with your child. Like my son, like you were talking about asking questions. My son is so, he asks me every single day, how did this happen? Why is this like this? Why don't you walk? You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
it's like if you communicate with them and you tell, you know, your story and everything in a way where they can understand, then they're a lot more understanding of your situation. Like I took my son to the gym with me today, and he said that I was lifting weights, and he's like, "You can do that on your own now," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm coming along." And he's like, "Wow, mom, I'm really proud of you." You know, he's like my little
Oh,
cheerleader. It's so
yeah, that's adorable. I love that. Was that your last tip, or did you have any more that you wrote down?
no, I think those are my three main ones. But
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, definitely. Ruby, how are you doing on your sound? Are you back with us? I think she hears me a little bit delayed sometimes. Ruby, does your sound work? She's like, we don't know. No, okay, maybe she's frozen. Okay, let's go to you, Lizzie. You're up next. What three tools or tips do you feel like really helped you and that you would want to share with the new mom?
I would say using using your wheelchair, your footstool, so your toddler can climb up and sit with you. Use that and put your brake down. It helps them to climb up you, so you, especially if you don't have very good trunk control. So since I'm a higher level, it's hard bending down or even keeping my balance up. So when my brakes are down, I can, hold myself up, let my toddler use one hand, and she'll climb up her way up this way and she'll sit on my lap, or we'll go for a ride, whatever it is she wants to do.
Yeah,
So
that's
really
super cool.
using your chair.
That's a good one. I think that that's smart because it is hard picking them up. And what's cool about that is like it kind of teaches their brain to adapt. Like, how can I get up if I want my mom?
Yeah.
That's super cool. Do you have any more tools that you use or
Um,
that has helped you out?
no, like now that they're getting older, it's better. They learn teamwork. They know they have to help me, help them, assist them in whatever it is that they need. If I gotta get something off the top shelf, they're like, okay, I'm ready to climb on you to get on the counter for you, get whatever it is we need.
I love that. I love that. And one of the questions that I didn't ask you, Lizzie, was because you had your baby before your injury, was there a lot of products that you had to rebuy, like accessible, or did you just work with what you had?
I just worked with what I had, because they were toddlers. My youngest was in the process of learning how to walk herself. My 2-year-old was potty training. being more independent on her own, learning how to talk. So in these different phases, it was just like, well, we're just gonna work with what we got. We ain't gonna buy nothing. It's us, be used, and we're gonna do this.
Yeah, and you got to do what you got to do. Of course, it's great to have accessible products, but it's not possible for everybody, you know. And if it's not, then I just feel like your brain will adapt, you know, to what you have. You will make it work because you have to take care of your kid, you know, you have to figure out the next move. And we really do doubt ourselves with how like resilient we are to life and how like we can really adapt stuff and like how we can make things, we're like survival, you know, our instinct is to survive. So we're going to figure it out, you know? So Nicole has a great question in the comments. She says, how do you manage doing your care while doing your child's care? Does someone watch them while you do your bowel program and stuff like that? Or how does that work for you? Chelsea, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. So I kind of have like my little team of people that helps me with that because there's certain things that I obviously can't do by myself. And my grandma and my mom are with me a lot. And then my neighbors are super cool. Like they'll watch my son while I'm doing my bowel program or like that kind of thing. Um, but a lot of time it's my mom or my grandma. Right there, and I don't know what I would do without them. But when I'm trying to do things for Wyatt and I don't have the help, that's when things get a little like you said, you have to adapt and figure out ways to do those things for your child. Like my son's 4 now, so it's that age of like he wants to do everything himself, so I kind of let him. But there's certain things that he does need help with, getting to the bathroom and certain things like that. And I've actually figured out ways to do it myself now. It's definitely taken, 4 years of time to figure things out. Time will tell everything. That's kind of my advice on that.
Yeah, of course. And I think that's interesting thought that you just made me think of is, you know, even if you come to terms with, okay, I'm a mom, this is what I have to do, I have to ask for help, I have to do this, because your child's growing and going through different things, I'm sure those feelings keep on coming and are overwhelming where, you know, you might be doubting yourself or comparing yourself to other moms, you know, and things like that. So I'm sure that's really difficult. You know, I'm sure it's way different stuff having to deal with when he was 1 years old compared to now that he's 4 years old, you know, and like really comparing yourself. Do you ever find yourself going down that road and comparing yourself to like what other moms could do, Chelsea?
Oh, time. It's so hard because you're like, oh, I wish it could be so much easier for me because, people make it look easy, but everyone has struggles. Like raising a child is not easy, like at times. So,
Mhm.
I have a friend that she's not even in a wheelchair, and we're always comparing each other, our mothering skills or whatever. And she's like, "How do you do that?" I'm like, "How do you do that?" So it's kind of like you just have to take it with a grain of salt and know that you're very individual to your situation, and you can't compare yourself to other people, even though we do
Mhm.
natural human. But social media does that for all of us, I think, in other
Mhm.
regards than being a mom. It's like you just have to see yourself as, yeah, this is my life. I'm going to continue to do it the way that I do it. I love advice. I'm always open for advice on things, but I think it's hard.
Yeah, definitely. I agree 1,000%. I think that our mind already plays so many tricks on us, and able-bodied people deal with this. Able-bodied people doubt themselves as mothers, you know? I think that it's totally normal to do. We just have to stick together and remind each other and ourselves that that's not the truth, you know? And that's the hard part, but definitely, you know, the growing part as well.
Yeah.
Um, did your sound come back on? Do you know, love? I feel like I hear your background a little bit, but I don't hear when you're talking.
just out sometimes.
You're a little
Can you hear me?
staticky. You a little bit. Oh, there you go. I think you're a little bit more clear now.
I'm static.
You want to exit out and rejoin. We're almost done anyways. If you want to answer like the last questions that you missed, then that's totally fine. Or if you feel like you said everything you need to, I don't know. But if you want to exit out and join back in, I think that would help.
Okay, I'll try that.
Okay, sounds good. Okay. And okay, so for you, Lizzie, how about you with doing your care and your child's care? Do you have help with that? Or how do you manage that?
If my husband's available, he'll take over when it's like, and I'll go to the bathroom. When it comes to my bowel program, I do it while my kids are still asleep, or either when they go to bed or before they wake up in the morning. Depends who wakes up first, me or them. Or even during their nap times too, when they're sleeping.
Yeah, just learning the right moments, which is just like, again, like regular parenting, right? And I'm sure like the way you did it before, it's so hard, like take a shower and to eat and to use the bathroom and things like that. But like you find a routine. And I think all these fears come in our head of how is that gonna work? How is this gonna be possible? What am I gonna do when this happens? And I think that it scares us, and it scares a lot of people who even are in chairs and want to become moms, and aren't so much as being a mom when they're newly injured or having kids beforehand, but just so scared of what the future might hold, and I think we can really psych ourselves out by doing that a lot. So again, our mindset's everything in this. I really, really believe that. Ruby, you popped back on. How's your sound doing?
It's still a lot of static. What was the question?
What 3 tools or tips would you share to a new mom?
Something that would help me mom.
To a new wheelchair mom, do you have any tips or any tools that helped you out in your pregnancy or having your kids that you would like to share with like a new mom going through the same thing?
I think what helped me a lot as a mom was the boppy, because I was able to put it over my lap and roll with the baby. Like when they're little, they don't move as much, but when they get bigger, definitely the kangaroo little backpack thing helps a lot. And some of the chairs have like seat belts. That also helps because it keeps the baby sitting up on your lap. It helps a lot. But those were the 3 things for me carrying the baby around the house. What I would do even for like shower time, like the boppy and the towel and all that. It's hard, and but it's not impossible.
Yes, I love that. That is a great quote and a great way to even end out this whole show, and just remember it's possible, and if not, these 3 lovely ladies, I'm sure, will be more than happy to share advice, if you reach out to them in their inbox. Sometimes it's really hard to ask for help, in this. I'm hearing a lot of static again. Ruby, can you mute your mic in the background? Oh, there we go. I think sometimes because she's far away, she's in Arkansas, so I think sometimes the statics are messing us up a little bit because she's so far from us. But yeah, I think that's so cool. So, Chelsea, do you have any last words or any last words of advice that you would like to give to anybody watching this now or in the future?
Yeah, I mean, I think that one of the things it's actually a quote that's super small, but it's be your own kind of beautiful. Like, you don't have to compare yourself to other people. Just be there for your child and they'll love you no matter what. And I'm just so thankful to be here. And if anyone has any questions or wants to reach out to me on Instagram, I'm here. Yeah, I love giving advice or receiving it as well. So thank you so much.
Yes, I love that. How about you, Lizzie? Do you have anything or any last words that you want to share?
I would say believe in yourself, don't doubt yourself. Because just like able bodies, kids don't come with the manual, so not even they know what they're doing. So don't feel bad if you don't know what you're doing. None of us know what we're doing.
Yes, I love it. That's great advice. And how about you, Ruby? Do you have any last words that you'd like to say to anybody watching? I'm so scared to talk and interrupt you. I think it's still breaking up a little bit, love. Sorry about that. Like, no, not working. If you want to add anything in the comments afterwards, Ruby, feel free to do that. We would love to hear it. And if you guys want to check out these girls' profiles, their links and profiles will all be linked down below for you guys. So make sure to check them out. And if you guys have any advice on anything that they said, like Chelsea said, or need any advice, feel free to reach out to any of them. I personally do not have children, but if you guys have any other questions, I am more than happy to help you out on your journey. This is what this channel is all about, is just educating and letting each other know that we're not alone in this, and helping each other out, because we all need a little help. So yeah, this was another great women's disability show. I am back every first and third Thursday on this channel, and Sean is back every week with the guys with great, amazing topics. So if you guys also feel like you guys would be interested in being a guest, feel free to reach out to us. Let us know your story. We would really, really appreciate it. Also, feel free to check out our merch at liveToroll.org and support us that way. We really, really support it. We also have a new Instagram account that we will be posting on that is Live to Roll. So make sure to check our social medias and check our tags, and make sure to follow us and support us. We really, really do appreciate you guys all so much. This was Live to Roll, and we're out. Bye.